Hello, it's time for another devotional. Had one all lined up, and of course, last minute, God has changed it on me. But here we go. This one's going to be for Christians out there, so this is going to be a little bit tough to hear. But I don't want it to be misconstrued or taken the wrong way. We do need to preach what sin is. We need to preach that, sexual immorality, murder, addictions, lying, adultery, all this is sin. We need to preach that it's sin. However, we don't need to grab somebody, pull them up, and say, hey, guess what? You're sinning. This is what you're doing wrong. Because if we go back to the Bible and we talk about the adulterous woman who was thrown at the feet of Jesus. So now we have all these people saying, look, Jesus, she's a sinner. Look at what she's done. They're trying to make a spectacle of this person. And that's not what we need to do as Christians. So what did Jesus do? Well, he quietly talked to her, writing in the sand or the dirt or whatever was in front of her, and communicated with her that way. He did it as a one-on-one, not as a spectacle in front of everybody as the people wanted him to do. They wanted to make an example out of her. As Christians, we're not supposed to make examples out of sinners and say, look, this is what you're doing wrong. I'm going to pull this person, show this person's a bad person. No, that's not what we're meant to do. We are meant to preach what is sin because they don't know what sin is unless we tell them it is a sin. But we're not supposed to do it in a way that we're calling out one individual person in public. That is either done in private or we speak in general over to everybody. But what we're supposed to be doing, and this is the key part, when we do preach what is sin, when we preach what sin is and how it condemns you, and we're preaching condemnation, we also got to be preaching about the redemption. Because without that, it means nothing. We have to be preaching on Jesus. We have to be preaching that, yes, you have committed a sin. There are sins out there. We all sin and fall short of the glory. Every single one of us. When we preach what sin is, we're going to have to say, but there is this man, spotless lamb, never sinned, who was hung on a cross, crucified, shed every drop of his blood for you to be saved and to get to heaven. We can't sit there and just say, you're condemned to go to hell. This is all you're ever going to be. We have to preach that redemption, who the Redeemer is. That's the whole point. We can't scream sin, 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 sin without giving a guidance of how to get out of that sin. We can't be the one who are just going to say, I'm superior to you because I'm a Christian and I follow Christ while you're a sinner. We have to preach that redemption story because we are all redeemed by the blood of Christ. It's the salvation story. And what we need to do is we need to bring these people into church. We don't ask people to go and get saved and then come to church. No. What we say is come as you are. Let that addictive, murderous, hell-bound person come to church as they are because we are going to show them the love of Christ. We're going to preach that redemption story and say, you know what? I was that same sinner. There's no sin that is greater or worse or more terrible or even better to commit than the other. They are all the same. I was that same sinner that you are, no matter what your sin is, and I was saved by the blood of Christ. We have to preach that story of redemption and love those. We don't ask people to get better to come in. No, we're going to bring them in as they are, and we're going to help them. We're going to get them to hear that message, to get them saved, and then we're going to teach them how to read, how to pray, and how to grow in Christ. It's not our job to just have a church for healthy Christians. It's for everybody to come in and to get saved. Secondly, when we are preaching sin, 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 and never preaching that redemption story, it's like somebody stopping you and going, hey, is this the way to the local Walmart? No, you're going the wrong direction, and turn around and walking off. What good does it do to tell somebody they're going the wrong direction without pointing them to the right direction? That's our purpose as Christians, is to tell, hey, there is sin out there. You're in this. There's a deceiver out there. There's a liar who's telling you that this is okay when it's not. But I know a man who can save you. I know a man who did this for you, and his name is Jesus Christ. We have to spread that part of the gospel. And if we're not, then we're failing as Christians of bringing people into the fold. So I encourage you guys today, instead of just preaching sin, preaching condemnation, preach the Redeemer. Love you guys.